all right. Let's play some chess. As you know, the rules are simple. These are 3-minute games. Any game that I lose, I have to analyze. But at this point, I've been analyzing all of the games. I used to be rated much stronger than what I am. The goal of this is to get back to where I was. I mean, I used to be a shark, goddamn vulture, creature that prowls and eats. And at the point where you stop playing, that skill goes away. It's almost like it just kind of fiddles away. But it was there at one point, meaning it's still there. So the goal of this is to kind of recapture that skill. I should be a much more humble person, seeing as, you get down to 1600, and it's like a king being, inappropriately handled by the peasants of the groups. But nevertheless, the goal of this is to get skill back. And the only way you can do that is by playing. So these are going to be 3-minute games. I don't control my opponent. I click a button and the computer just chooses somebody who's in the pool and the person comes up. It's almost like if you were playing in a tournament. Part of the reason I think I like doing this online is because it makes me, you can't dick around with the game. Like if I'm playing here, I might play for hours and you're just kind of, there's some games that you end up throwing away, there's some games that you end up winning, but you don't necessarily care about the game. Any game that I play in front of my audience, I care about the game. So it's almost like you're in a tournament environment. There are other eyes that are watching you, and the game is a real game. You're trying to actually win the game. So let's do this. My rating at this point is like 1880 something. And so the next game could put me in 1900. That would be an awesome beachhead. A loss, however, is going to knock me down further. The goal of this, at the very least, is to get to 1900 and capture a decent plot of land in 1900, meaning getting up to 1950 at least, before pushing into 2000. All right, I'm cutting the sound off because I have the music playing in the background. By the way, before I start playing, Discovery. Spoiler alert, but Discovery. My first Black Box episode was going to be on Superman. I call it the Superman Nuclear Crisis. That episode is going to be amazing, but that episode is different than how I to do this. So it takes a little bit more thought in how I do it. I have to get like the video footage and that type of stuff. But I don't think that's going to take place. I think the first thing is going to be on Pike. Christopher Pike. And Christopher Pike, I'm a sucker for epicness. And it being a sucker for epicness, Discovery did something, even though the series is a massive fuck-up in regards to trying to do Star Trek. It was a horrible series, especially when it gets down to the final end. And it's like the last episode, you think you're watching an action movie as opposed to Star Trek. They fucking missed the point in Star Trek. But no, putting that to the side. Pike, however, yes. Like, the part in Pike that's epic to me, it's kind of like the reason why Worf is epic to me. It's pain and angst, and it's pain and angst that you accept, not necessarily that was imposed upon you, and pushing through it regardless. There's a part where Pike goes down to Kronos. He has to get the time disc. I know this is, supposed to be playing chess, but still, it's on my mind. He's getting the time disc. He needs the time disc. The world is at stake. The universe is at stake. He's getting the time disc. And as he gets the time disc, the Cleon tells him to leave. Go from this place. And imposes upon him, men have been broken here. And Pike is like, I'm not leaving. I don't give a shit what takes place. I am not leaving. So fine. He leads them through and he allows them to get the crystal. But he tells him, be warned. Men have been broken here. Pike pushes on and Pike grabs the crystal. And what Pike sees is himself that every other Star Trek person knows. Meaning every person who's watching Discovery that has watched the original series knows. The moment that Pike comes up, they know what happens to Pike. Meaning Pike is a tragic case. Pike gets fucked up. He's like in a wheelchair and his face is melted. He can't even talk. He's like just a device that allows him to beep, yes or no. Pike doesn't know that though. If you had this kind of interdimensional being, he was looking at us. From his vantage point, our life is already planned out. It's laid out. All time happens at the exact same time to that particular being. Meaning from that perspective, us going to the store will be in the same way that being will look at us from the time we were infant to the time that we croak, hit our head, and leave this physical plane of existence. But that's kind of the way we're looking at Pike. So Pike gets to see perspective from a God's perspective, from our perspective for the moment. And he goes back horrified by this. Like, I don't know if Pike was living out, I mean, how much he could feel it, but he's watching this, and he's watching that person himself. Even if he's looking at that from a third-person perspective, he knows that that's him. He knows that this is going to happen to him. He sees his face being burned off. He sees all of these cadets and him being a hero, because he is a captain, Starfleet captain, saving these kids, but at the same token being broken in the process. He sees this. And the Cleon, he goes back horrified by it. He's like on the ground, he's like, oh! And the Cleon is kind of making this point to him. If you take that crystal, that is sealed. That's you. That is absolutely 100% going to happen to you if you take that crystal. Now, you can leave it with that crystal, or you can just walk the fuck out the door without that crystal. And Pike starts reciting these kind of Starfleet vows of sorts. Like, it's a fascinating fucking episode. Like, in recounting these Starfleet vows, it's almost like the Green Lantern, where the Green Lantern is in this kind of horrible situation, and he starts, no evil could escape my sight, that type of stuff. This Green Lantern pledge in order to give himself this kind of extra boost. He's reciting this thing of, I'm a Starfleet officer. And for all of the things that it means for him being a Starfleet officer, what it means is that Pike was experiencing doubt. That ultimately he understood what this meant for him. He understood the pain that it meant for him. And he experienced doubt. He wanted to walk out that door. And he thought that as a man, he was too weak to do it. However, as a Starfleet officer, it was his job. It was his duty. The odd part about it, or the interesting part about it, is the reality of it is the Starfleet thing doesn't really exist any more than government really exists. His captain thing doesn't really exist. All of those things are just thought forms. They're promises that people have made to each other. The reality of it is a man is taking it on himself to be broken because he needs to save the Federation. But he doesn't believe that just as a man, he's strong enough to take it on. The fact of the matter is, though, that that's all that's there. He is strong enough to take it on. And he pulls the crystal and walks out the door. But he pulls the crystal walking out the door knowing exactly what is going to take place. And he does it anyway. That is such an epic fucking episode. Don't get me wrong. Picard would have done it. Sisko would have done it. Like, Kirk would have done it. Like, all of the captains would have done it. So it's not that Pike gets this kind of extra thing above them, but it's not them that's encountering this. It's Pike that's doing this. Pike could have very well walked out that door and said, hey, yeah, we couldn't, this is a dead end. Couldn't work this shit out in this direction. We need to find something else. But Pike accepts the fate, the hand that fate is dealt him in this case, and he walks out the door knowing what's going to take place. I find that to be an epic fucking episode. And that was one of the episodes that they did right. Like, everybody knows what happens to Pike. And so them seeing this, it's like, at the very end, Pike gets a quote-unquote happy ending. But that's somewhat of an illusion. In this case, Pike knows what's going to happen to him. He doesn't know about that happy ending at the very end. He just knows, oh my God, I'm going to get broken. God, that's a fucking awesome episode. But as a whole, Discovery, they dropped the ball, man. They dropped the ball big time. There's an episode with Worf, and I know Trudy likes Worf, where Worf is he's captured as an inmate, and Jem'Hadar is forcing him to have these battles, these fights, and he's having one fight after the next, over and over and over. And as he's having these fights, it's Star Trek. They're not superhuman. They're human beings, and he gets. Well, he's not human being, he's a Klingon, but still, he wounds, he gets hurt, he gets injured. And in each of these fights, like anybody else, this gets injured, a rib gets broken, something else gets scarred up. He's fucked up. He's gone through their entire ranks, and he's won each and every one of those fights. And he keeps getting up, ready to do more battling, despite all of his wounds and injuries. It gets to the point where they believe, and Worf believes, there's no way out of this. So he was going to die in the ring on his feet. Because for him, he believed that this was an issue of honor. That him as a Klingon, again, these themes. Him as a captain, or in this case, him as a Cleon. None of that shit matters. It's ultimately a being that's making a choice based on certain things he has in his head of expectations. And that's essentially what he does. The catch here is, one of the other Cleons that grew up on Kronos tells him, your honor has been served. And Worf, still not growing up on Kronos, having human parents, and being insecure about those human parents, needs to be more Cleon than the other Cleon that was there. That is an awesome fucking episode. Worf gets to the point where he's fighting the last guy. And as he's fighting the general is a badass. The general would have been a handful for Worf even at his top peak. And the guy breaks Worf, just beats him brutally. And Worf continues to get up. And the guy's like, the other Klingon is like, your honor has been served. Stay down. And Worf continues to get up. At some point, the Jem'Hadar stops. And his commander's like, what the fuck are you doing? Kill him. And he says, I can't beat this man. I can only kill this man. That is an epic scene. Now, understand what he means by this. It's a trivial thing for me to kill him. I have a weapon. It's just a being. That being bleeds like any other being that bleeds. I could put a hole in him right now. I could have put a hole in him when they first brought him in here. I could have killed him at any point of this process from the first second he got hit to this very moment. There is no sport in that. There's no game in that. I get nothing out of that. That does nothing for me as a person. It doesn't make me better. It doesn't challenge me or anything. Isn't this, like, that's an epic thing. I can't beat this man. I can only kill this man. And based upon a game that he himself has constructed of, I'm going to best him as a warrior. And by the way, Worf has also accepted this game. Meaning that in Worf's death, Worf wins. Because ultimately the guy's goal was to beat Worf, not to kill Worf. Now, what's the reality of it? The reality of it is, this one being has certain ideas in his head about what's taking place, and this other guy agreed with her. Is that what's taking place? Yes and no. Yes, for them, because they've agreed on that reality. The other reality is the Vorta who's standing over him saying, what the fuck are you doing? Kill him. Vorta doesn't exist in the reality that these two have chosen for themselves. That's what Star Trek is, man. That's an epicness that's associated with that. That's missing in Discovery. It's typically missing. And that last episode, they should be ashamed of themselves. Whoever crafted that episode. Boo on you, sir. Boo on you. Alright, let's start some chess. I've been running my mouth. Talking about important things that don't exist. Alright. Playing for the honor of the soapbox. Let's do this.
Check. Check.
Don't take it. You don't see it. You don't see it. Don't take it. Don't take it. Motherfucker. Oh, motherfucker. God damn it. Alright. This is pointless. God damn it. That's a massive fuck up. You know, it's funny. I didn't see the Knight takes Queen, and I felt like chess is odd, man. When you're playing the game, you feel the position sometimes. If that makes sense, it's not that you see everything. There are times that there are aspects of you that see something, but your subconscious is kind of dumping feelings into you in various cases, and sometimes those feelings are like, oh, this doesn't feel right. You don't necessarily see why. This was kind of one of those positions where it's like, oh, this doesn't feel like this. You know, this is a bad neighborhood. It was, at this point, I was okay.
Check.
I couldn't figure out what to do here. That felt horrible. Like, that move felt really bad. Which was just coupled by that. My problem was, it's blitz. I'm running down, my time is running down. So in my head, it's like, all right, your time is going down. You need to make a move. You need to make a move. You need to make a move. And it's unclear to me what to do. I was thinking this, but then the problem is the rook becomes liability. If where's my cursor? Where's my mouse? Alright, there we go. Yeah, the rook becomes a liability. If anything happens to the knight, then it's defenseless. Not to mention if the moment that this knight moves, it becomes a problem. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but it's like, do you radicalize the troops in Afghanistan with the notion of getting the Soviets embroiled into a Vietnam? Yeah, if you could play the politics right. The problem is human beings don't typically play the politics right. I don't want to take this chance because I don't want to lose this fucking rook. That said, I started thinking, yeah, I felt stalled. I couldn't figure out what to do. I lost 20 seconds. That's a eternity. I know it doesn't seem like an eternity, but it's eternity in blitz. I kept thinking, all right, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. The move probably would have been this. So if I wanted to put the rook here, say for example, if I said, all right, I want to put the rook here. I can't put the rook there immediately. And so my thought should have been, and I probably would have gotten there if I would have had a little bit more time, should have been, all right, if I can't put it there, why can't I put it there? I can't put it there because of queen. All right, but I still want to be on that rank. How do I get to that rank? At that point, it becomes this, with the thought of bringing the rook here. That gives this away, but still. But I'm not even sure if that's right. In fact, alright, let's go back. Let's start at the beginning. Because I think this game was well played up to that point. Well, actually, there was a fuck up in the beginning. We got here through a transposition moves. Oftentimes we get here through a different way. but it doesn't matter. The opening thing doesn't matter. The bishop goes, it has to go here, otherwise this knight comes here and does bad things to that knight with a push on the queen. Yeah, I don't particularly like this position, even though I didn't see any of the dangers of the position. I didn't like giving up my bishop. Is what it is. You move on. You can't get everything you want. But the ending position wasn't bad for black, and I was okay with this position actually. So let's keep going. All right. The problem here is queen check, picking up the knight. Usually the queen is on d8, that guards against this. But in either case, get the king out of the center. All right. Knight is secured. There's nothing that can push that knight. The knight is perfectly solid. So I can think about other things. All right, he's attacking the knight. The knight needs to move. And to be fair, this is a better position for the knight anyway. All right, black's position is solid. Not to mention white has a weak pawn up there. So the question becomes, how do you progress? How do you move forward? I didn't want to push the pawn immediately. I thought it was premature, even though both knights are guarding it. My issue here was that the pawn is on top of the queen. So I brought the rook here first with the thought that when this pushes, the queen can always move out the way and it's still supported. But again, at this point, I'm still not completely clear on how to make progress in the position. I just need to not do anything to kill myself. All right, so that push, take, queen. All right, I think this is fine. It's premature. That's premature. So let's go back to here. So the reason the rook comes up, it may look weird. Initially, what I wanted to do was throw the knight here. The knight hits with a fork. The problem is this ends up with a check. Check.
Check.
Check. This. And black has essentially lost the game. So if I still want to try to exploit that, I need to get this out the way and maintain the threat. The problem here is I didn't see the rejoiner. So this here, queen comes here, putting threat on this rook. If knight takes, queen takes again with the check, black loses the knight. So black has to do something about the fact that this rook is kind of by itself, which is why it comes this way. In retrospect, if I would have seen this, I probably would have thrown the knight there immediately. Because the fact of the matter is, the knight is solid here in this position. And there's a consistent threat on this pawn. Pushing the rook up, I guess, is not bad. Maybe bringing this here with the thought of bringing this up here, putting more pressure on that. Either way, that's not what happened. So let's go over what happened. All right, still, black is fine.
Check.
All right, these are threats. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. That's problematic for white. He doesn't want to allow that. So he needs to get support for this pawn. And so,
check.
Check. All right. Now, how do you make progress? That's the question. And that's what I was stuck with. I thought about this, but I thought this was a problem. Which it is. So I wasn't wrong in thinking that that was a problem. But is there any way to weasel out of that?
Check.
Like, I don't know. That just seems bad to me. All right. So the other thought was, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. Maybe this. I suppose he'll do this. I mean, my thought is getting here. So maybe he won't bring the rook over. I don't know. Something other than what I did. Because what I did just... for the most part, just imploded. I was overly aware of my time ticking down. Yeah, and at this point, my spider sense started going off. Like, honestly. In fact, as I pushed this, my spider sense was like, no! It was like, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I kept thinking, but then my other sense was, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. God damn it. Anything else. Like, even if you lose material, at the very fucking least, anything else. Like, even taking was better.
Check.
It's not what I want, but it's not horrid. Oh. Oh, fuck. That hurts. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I failed. The only decent Janeway did was stop Tuva from blowing Naomi while Mel. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Alright, let's get another game in. I want to get another game in. Oh, that hurts. God, that hurts. You know what? I like Janeway. My wife doesn't like Janeway all that much. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, I like Janeway. My wife didn't like Janeway. I don't necessarily know why. I think she was being sexist. But I'm not entirely sure.
check, 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 check. Time warning. Check, 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 check.
Win is a win is a win. Blitz. It's blitz. It was a good game. It was for some reason that last move was horrible. Do not. If there are like any chess students, that last move of exposing the position at the end like that is fucking horrendous. I was trying to get attacking opportunities, and I couldn't figure out another way to get attacking opportunities than expose my king side. It was just kind of, it's like you're gonna lose if you do nothing. So do something. All right, so this is just opening play. I'm playing this like I'm playing against the Samish, the different variations. Like if he was playing, but the Samish is a different opening. This is like Old Indian. It's like, God, that's racist. All right, but I'm taking up a stake in the center, and at this point, it's just fighting chess, trying to fight for position. Get king to safety. I gotta be honest, this was a good move. He got me off guard. So my thinking was, this is called an interpolation, meaning you have a move that's not the main move, but it's a move intermediary. It's something that you don't necessarily expect as an intermediary between something that's the typical or the main move. So the theme in this is knight takes. That's what's going to finally take place in regards to the thematic move that just happened, or the series of events. But the catch is, that's not the thing that he did. He did this. This forces white to take, which is something I don't want to do. I don't want to fuck up my position in this way. But you don't have a choice. The outcome of the variations, like knight takes queen, doesn't work out for white. And also, I didn't really want to give up my bishop. My bishop was much better than that knight. So, good move on his part. I'm not sure what else. Let's see, I guess the bishop could have gone here. And maybe the bishop could have gone there. Or even backing up. Or bishop takes, but I didn't want to give up my bishop for the knight. In either way. Alright, pawn takes, pawn takes. And either way, the position here is not bad for white. It's particularly from the queen side. White's infiltration into the king side, into the black position, is through the queen side. Which means that this is not the rook. The rook that should have got activated was this. This rook needs to stay here because this rook is going to invade on that line. And if you remember, that's what ends up happening anyway. The rook still takes that line. But I have to go about like 4 moves as opposed to just 1. Yeah, so it goes back there anyway. Now, the reason why this sits here is because this is a lifeline. This bishop holds any kind of attack from the diagonal, allowing the rook to just sits here with impunity. Something may be able to go here, but that's not where he went with this originally. Now, the thought was knight here, but he closes that off with this move, which is actually pretty good. And we're getting into time issues. I don't like that move. Like, the move ends up being not one of my favorites. In retrospect, what's wrong with that? I mean, what is he going to do about it? That bishop can't go anywhere of value, right? Am I wrong? Let's see, he can go to here. Yeah, I don't hate that move. Alright, the problem that white has now is the king. The king has no out. If anything happens, it falls back on the back rank. The king has no way to escape. So I need to deal with that. Meaning I need to pull the stuff back. Alright, this is getting uncomfortable.
Check. Check.
Alright, I'm trying
Check.
to find a way into this position. That's horrendous. Like, I cringe at that. Like, even looking at it, like, oh, why? But it makes sense, but it's too exposing. This allows a complete line of the position. White can't even challenge it. But my thought was kind of what happened.
Check.
He has attacking chances. And if rook takes, bishop takes, white gets attacking chances, things that he didn't have before.
Check. 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 Check.
I don't want to draw. In retrospect, I wonder
Check.
if instead of that, I think this is too slow. Also, I don't think this works either, because after check, queen, or does it? Check, the king's forced onto a black square. But my bishop can't do anything about the fact that he's on a black square. Unless, this.
Check. Check.
Which doesn't work because of the bishop. No. Yeah, I'm not sure. Alright, let's do one more. And that'll be it for chess. I want to get it to 1900. I don't want to leave without it. Let's see who's here. Is anybody here? I mean, this is kind of dry. We're just playing chess. Why not play 5 minutes? I like 3 minutes. I've been playing 3 minutes for 20 something years at this point. So it's just becomes part of it. But sacrificing the queen. Well, sacrificing the queen is not that's a think about it in the sense of you need the secrets to the Death Star. The Death Star has one weakness, and you need secrets to the Death Star. And at the very end, you give your life for the larger goal. And that's not even a good example. A better example has something to do with outside of the game space. It was something outside of life imposing on it that you were aware of. It's almost like Daredevil knowing that he's not, like Deadpool knowing he's in a comic book, if that makes sense. You acknowledge that time is part of the game and you use time at that point. But that goes beyond the just basic rules of the game. That's into the meta rules, if that makes sense.
check, 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 time warning, check, 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 check,
Good game. No bitching about it. Good game. Ran out of time. And the position got a little bit more complicated. Hate that. Hate that. Hate that. Hate losing that bishop like that. Alright. This was bad. I don't know what I was trying to do with this. Oh, I know what I was trying to do. It was misthought. The pawn, there's no point in taking with the pawn. You can always take with the bishop. Pretty much anything else would have been better. Just bring the rook over. Doesn't eventually ends up happening anyway. So let's... Alright, I felt obliged to take this because the next move that was coming up was going to be the rook here. I suppose this was fine. It's going to automatically invite this. I mean, what I wanted was this rook grabbing that. I don't want to get bogged down fighting for that. Let's see. I was also thinking of this, but again, same issue, rook here. I tried to think, considered bringing the queen back with the thought of this, but I didn't know what that got me. So, grab pawns. All else fails, set shit on fire.
check, check,
Now, the issue with this position is not the position itself, it's the time. I don't have enough time to think it through. And I need to pay attention to not losing stuff in some kind of random check. And so time gets eaten away.
check, 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 check,
It's always easier to defend.
check,
I'm sorry, to attack in these positions.
check, check, check,
Yeah, good game. I can't bitch about that. Can't bitch, just lost on time. It happens. Alright, one more game. I don't leave on a loss. And I'm at 1887. One game takes me there. We're taking me there. Fuck. So close. So close. Ben Tejo, Chess Network is a great channel, don't you know? Is it now? 2044. Alright. Let's kick some ass.
check, 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 check,
Being checked a lot like is demoralizing. It's like your king is being just mishandled. Yeah, this was well played. All right, let's see. This is fine. Oh, I know what happened. That happened. What the fuck was I thinking? I just missed that outright. There's no issue. Motherfucker. Talk about a brain fart. I have no idea what the fuck happened. Dropped a rook. Alright. Snow wolf. Alright, let's not lose the snow wolf.
check, 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 time, check,
Yeah. Where's he from? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he's from Russia! Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Uh-oh. It's a good thing Mueller is into that investigation, because, might have had something to do with Hillary Clinton losing that election to Donald Trump. That said, again, there's no harm in being bested by a superior man. And I suppose that's what took place. At a certain point, in my head, it's like, all right, he's in bad shape. And I can imagine myself flying through the air with an elbow, like, just waiting for the moment of contact. And we're about to get that moment of contact.
check,
I don't like this opening. But here's the interesting thing about chess. Whether I like it or not, if it's legal, kind of besides the point. Like, if it's like, and let me explain what I mean by like thinking that there's something wrong with this opening. Whether I think that or not is kind of besides the point. Where in life, oftentimes you run into these issues that are unresolvable. I can't resolve this issue. Because life doesn't necessarily have that benchmark of what's right and wrong. You kind of make it up as you go along based on cultural and all sorts of things. I mean, chess, that benchmark is already defined for you. So if I don't like this position, prove it. Prove what's wrong with the position. I have it up to my discretion to try to prove this person wrong, that the way they're opening this position is, based on the game, wrong. If I can't prove it, it's for me to shut the fuck up. In this case, I realize he has a problem in this position. And here's the problem. This pawn is gone. If this pawn is gone, a check here has to be dealt with either by king moving or pawn push. If the pawn pushes, he has another problem because he has a queen sitting in front of the rook. So the queen becomes somewhat of a liability in being in the center. It becomes a point of attack. It makes him gets weird stuff with his position. It also makes him eats his time trying to figure it out.
check,
That's ugly. Alright. Now at this point, I need to exploit black's position. And that's just a loss. Like, if this was some kind of fight, it was just a punch to the back of the forehead or something. I don't know what he was thinking.
check,
There's nothing to do about this. Nothing to do about this. This is where grown men go to die. That's what takes place here. And this is just trying to figure out just how to put it in just right.
check,
There it is. There it is. He didn't give me the pleasure of mating him. That would have been the only added distinction I could have gained from that game. 1861. I'm so close. All right. there's not another opponent by the time I put this ink pen, fasten it tightly, and put it on the notebook, then I am going to leave it and wish everybody a good day. Come on, I can't believe there's nobody playing chess. Blitzen usually is full of people. I've been playing on Blitzen for God knows how long. Earlier today, my wife and I went to a Bernie Sanders thing. It was organized for Sanders, and there were like 2 or 3 people there who knew who I was, which is always weird. You know, it's like, hey, you're Jamal. Yes, I'm Jamal. And it's always opaque because I don't know who they are, but they believe they know who I am. And to some degree, they do. This is literally who I am. So, but we got into this. One of the guys played chess. He was like, hey man, he said, there's a chess club nearby. He says, what are you like? Oh, Brian, this is the guy that beat me and started off this trajectory of bad luck playing. I can vanquish my demons by bashing his goddamn skull in. And that's what I'm gonna do this for America. I don't know where Brian is from, but I'm doing this for America. This win isn't for me. It's for the 300 million Americans in this country. Fight for you.
check, check. Time.
God damn it, Brian. I don't hate this game. I hate the fact that I lost on time. If that makes sense. It's not a bad game. Alright, this is the Petrov. Black in this game is belligerent from the get-go. And he doesn't accept white's position, meaning he attacks the same way he gets attacked. It's played in different ways. I play it in a more egalitarian way. Alright. So I'm fine with all of this. This is before opening stuff. Alright. Good with all this. Good with all this. Good with this. Now, here's the catch. The thing that I spent all of my time on was this. If you look back at the time clock, I started to lose time between the next moves. Look at that. I lose 30 seconds. Why do I lose 30 seconds? You're in the middle of a blitz game. Why do you lose 30 seconds? You don't need the necessarily best move. Sometimes a move that's good works. The problem is you're a human being and you get caught in petty dramas. And so I ended up in a petty drama. My thought was, can I give him the rook? Like, I don't want to spend time moving the rook out the way when I have stuff over here that he needs to deal with. He has real problems. He has concerns. If this knight goes, stuff like this, certain sacrifices start lending itself to this position with his queen all the way over here. And so I don't want to spend time with this. But I spend time with this thinking about, can I give it away? And then I come to the conclusion, yes. Which is the conclusion you could have came to in a few seconds. And honestly, if you were going to go that far, no, I can't do that. That's being too belligerent.
Check.
I can't take because he gains the bishop. All right. He gets back material. And white's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, he has a pawn advantage. Well, white's not dying.
Check.
And he has to pay attention to stuff. And also, these moves are getting far less precise just because time becomes a factor. But attack everything. You okay?
Your mama sent you some Ritz crackers. She said she got some more.
Brian is becoming the new Scully, man. I swear. Who is this? Where is this? Swaziland. Swaziland. I don't know what that is. I have an idea.
Check. 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 Time warning. Check.
All right, don't hate it, just loss. Let's see. He's 1988, so I don't feel horrible about it. It's still a loss. All right, play this going through the Pirc. This gets into a fighting position right off the bat, but I think I fell into something that I probably shouldn't have fell into, because I get stuck with my pieces clumsily being in the way. All right,
Check.
This gets weird.
Check.
In fact, all of this gets weird.
Check.
He runs the other way. I don't know why he runs the other way. And at this point, I'm trying to get my pieces out. Strangely enough, the position ends up not being
Check.
bad for black. My issue comes down to time. I don't have enough time. I'm down 30 seconds. And a blitz game, what to do is keep it a pretty steady
Check.
clip.
Check. Check.
There's no time to exploit anything. I ended up like my position is horse. Is anybody here? I don't even think anybody's here. There are people here. Be a man, do some war crimes. The less time Jamal has, the better he plays. I know, right? The more he gets closer and closer and closer. Alright, let's kick some ass. Let's try it again. I can't believe people are here. Alright.
check, time warning, checkmate,
Getting my ass handed to me now. This guy's I am. So, just saying. Nevertheless, the game was well played till it gets to the end. But again, when as the time goes down, fuck ups start to get ubiquitous. This is an interesting position in the way that white opens. I don't know what this is. If I'm being honest, I think it just opened this way. I was transposing it. This bishop here was kind of useless. I was transposing fianchettoing into the other side. I ran into this. So in chess, when black gets the opportunity to push d5, it's a freeing maneuver. It's black usually plays the game in second-class status, but it gets to a point where there's an equality that develops, providing with equal play. It's almost like just a natural gravitation towards equality, providing black doesn't fuck up. At least that's the way it usually goes. Chess hasn't been played out where it's a forced win. So d5 is usually a freeing maneuver, until except in up to times where it's not. This was a fuck up, and it was immediately apparent when he took and I couldn't take back. Because if I take back, this falls prey to this, loses a piece. And I was like, God, man, I don't want it. This was miserable. So I pushed forward with the thought that if pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, it forces the queen to move, in which case I get the opportunity to move the knight. He does something else. He takes the knight. Like, this gets into complications right off the bat. The guy's an IM, so I suppose he does this shit for, particularly well in general. But it was a lot to solve. My thought was, the problem that he ends up with is he has two pieces under attack. At the end of it all, after all the tactics, the position ends up with the bishop at the end on the D rank, on black's 8th rank, and pawn attacking the rook. His two pieces under threat at the exact same time when all the tactics die down, meaning he can move the bishop and lose the rook, or he can move the rook and lose the bishop. He doesn't like either of those options. So this allows black to maintain a certain degree of equality, even though the tactics are all over the place. Even this, same thing. Whether it's a bishop or a pawn, his issue is the same. The rook ends up under attack, or the bishop ends up under attack. All right. This allows black to come out of this without dying miserably. Unless I missed something. What am I missing? Oh, right. And at the final, pawn takes knight allows queen takes queen. A lot of fucking tactics to solve. I don't hate this game. That's why I don't hate this game. I did a pretty good job of solving the problems that were presented.
check,
Alright. But this position feels dead to me. I don't feel anything in the position. I was trying to plan a trap. The trap was rook takes, queen check, picking up the rook. He's an international master. He didn't fall for that trap. Probably insulted
Check.
that he even tried. So I went on and got the check. And defended the position. I'm down 2 pawns.
Checkmate.
Yeah. Yeah, he wore me down. Oh man, this hurts. I'm not losing to scrubs. I haven't lost anybody with a rating lower than mine, but this is hurting. Oh god. This is fate about to kick me in the ribs. Alright. We gotta get it out. Morale up.
Check.
Yeah, and this is when we stop playing. This is when we stop playing. This means that I'm played out. If I am playing that poorly. Don't hate this. It's not great, but I don't hate it. Bishop gets locked in, but again, that's fine, provided white can get something moving on the other side of the board. The queen comes in, the guard. Yeah, either just trade queens. In fact, there's nothing wrong with this, I don't think. I mean, it's not great, but it's not hideous. It's like the play is listless. White is holding on to this, but black also gets entry into white's position. That's assuming that white doesn't do anything about it. That prevents that.
Check.
Allows it to check. The pawn is pinned. I suppose to start taking stuff. Yeah, I don't like this position either way. Where did I go wrong in this? Let's see. This. Okay, that move is pointless, I think. Yeah, I think the move is pointless. Or is it? No. The problem with the position is queen takes pawn. So my issue is, how do you get... And that's what he's doing. Alright, so that's what I'm doing. Alright, he wants to castle and he wants to be able to prevent the pawn push when he castles, because that's a freeing maneuver. Fair enough. Alright. Maybe... You know what? This is going to sound weird, but maybe the way to play this is to lock up the position to prevent anything from going in. I mean, and my thinking is this. If white says, I'm going to control the A rank, or the A file, fair enough. But if white opens it, then he allows black the opportunity to control one of the other ranks. It may be better to just lock this up and allow white to control the two ranks, even though the bishop itself gets locked in. The bishop dies a slow death in the mines, but the empire survives. Also, this may not be bad in general. Like nothing against this. The only freedom in this position is for white to be able to push this pawn. In order for white to push the pawn here, something else needs to be backing it that allows it, or that bishop needs to not exist. One or two of those objectives can be accomplished now. So let's see. Alright, so instead of doing that, say that, I don't know what he may do. But whatever he does, let's say he does this. White has control of the A file. What about that? Is that insane? I mean, white's liberation is pushing these pawns. It gets his bishop out, and if his rook is fast enough, it can get over here. It can join in. Question is, how does black stave this off? I suppose... I don't know. What if the rook is up and comes back over here? Yeah, I'm not sure. Either way, it's a loss to a 1600 player, which means it's time for me to stop playing. I know that sounds bad, but it's true. Alright guys, I'll leave this here, and you all have a good one. See you tomorrow.